Hey guys, so I know I just created a video kind of like showing you how to do the ledger. Now I'm getting ready to show you this is not everything in crypto. There's a lot to digital assets in crypto, okay? A crap ton, okay? So I'm gonna kind of show you a little bit. But okay, so you see this? Stake your assets to earn up to 25%. So this Kraken, let me see if I can find it. And I was typing in RoboNext because RoboNext is actually an education platform on crypto, pretty much. Think of the FAFSA. They just call it a different name. Where they essentially, that's the token for education within crypto, and I'll go into that in a little bit, but real quick, I'm gonna type in Rothschilds, and I'm going to say $500 trillion because you see it just kind of popped up. So this is October 29, 2016. Snopes Rothschild family has a net worth of 500 trillion and owns 80% of the world's wealth. Gross exaggerated. Then we're gonna click out of that and go to another one and see if there's another source out there that has something similar. Lead stories: Jake Rothschild is not worth 500 trillion, so that one's talking about a conspiracy. So list of the wealthiest families. I just want to see how much they are worth. I'm gonna type in trillion family dollar family offices. The estimated wealth, and I'm kind of maybe learning some stuff right now, but hello, why not? The estimated wealth of families with family offices currently stands at 5.5 trillion. This is in US dollars and to grow in 2013 to 9.5 trillion. Okay. So, and those assets include the largest family offices ranked by asset 2024. And this is why I used to look stuff up. That's why I like looking stuff up. From a legal standpoint, a family office operates similar to a corporate or LLC. Okay, so you have DuPont and Rockefeller companies are considered the pioneers of family offices. And I don't know if it's gonna kind of like allow me to like. It says assets, date assets. Sources. They have 1 and 2 sources. So the Walton 225 billion, 170 billion, Bezos 108, Bejor 100, Moose 89, Baltimore 85, Whitecross 65. As you can see, Crosby, there's 20, and they're all in the billions, I believe. Yeah, they're rounded up to the billions. So there's 20, and then the sources that they come up with for that. Oh wow, so I guess it's a LinkedIn page for one. And then what is number 2? LinkedIn 2? That doesn't make sense. Okay, so SWF is actually the first one. SWF Summit Events is Sovereign Wealth Fund Institute. And click back into that. Walton Enterprise LLC. And it tells their net worth. And then it says 4 subsidiaries, 2 opportunities, RFPs, 34 personal contracts available for CSV export. What does that mean? CSV export? It simply means they're all the transactions and assets of that particular family office. So a CSV file is not just for, and my computer froze, sorry. But a CSV file is not just for, and they'll let you download it too right here. You can see download data CSV file request profile update for Sovereign Wealth Fund Institute. So they'll let you download that. So I have CSV file export that I have to also download. But you have to, let's see, it says recorded transactions. There's 92 opportunities, 2 subsidiaries, 4 assets. This is it. Contacts, 34 official documents, 1. Okay, which they let you download even. Wanton Enterprise, they give the address of where it's located. State it's a family office based in the United States. Board members, and they're available for contact if you pretty much want. Interim report document if you so choose. I'm trying to find where the other portion was right here. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about right here. So they have public equity, fixed income, real estate, private equity, private credit, hedge funds, and I can go in detail about what each one actually is. Infrastructure, the amount of cash they have, natural resources, and other. Okay, so those are all the different assets that they hold or segments, and then the percentages and the amount in US dollars of the $225 billion. Now, if you look at like David, the Cardone, what his name Cardone is, if you noticed, it said personal. I said what his name is. Oh my goodness, it says personal contacts. So it's talking about all of these are pretty much considered personal assets of a family office. That's not including their business. Their business funds are separate from their family office funds. I want you to understand that. Even with their personal funds, they do not have personal funds that they actually manage technically within a personal bank account, so to speak. There's a family office that orchestrates and manages all of that. So this is their personal wealth. So I want you to understand that if this is their personal wealth, their business wealth, they even though they operate the company, or they could be shareholders to the company, which that probably also plays into this too, but they could be shareholders of the company, but they also are the direct owners of the company. They're not going to how do you say this? They're not going to state that they're the direct owners of the company, because just in case someone was going to sue, it protects them if they aren't necessary, or protects them if they aren't direct owners of the company, so that it protects the business and allows the business to continue to run. So they have board members, council, managing directors, and more than likely these are family members that are a part of this. And they have managing the wealth. And maybe some of them are not. So, but this is that is what a family office actually is in sovereign wealth. But then you also have the other aspect of that, which is the business. The business, Walton Enterprise may own, let's just say Walton owns Walmart. You're not going to see Walmart's assets inside of here. They're separate. So Walmart may be worth $5 trillion. That's like Tesla, right? So we know that Elon Musk is the owner of Tesla. Elon doesn't say that he's worth $1 trillion because his company's worth $1 trillion now. In some ways, he technically is considered a trillionaire simply because of that. But you're not going to see him come out and say, I'm a trillionaire. No, he still states that he's a billionaire. But his company has made $1 trillion, and his company is a trillionaire. Like that's an asset and an accomplishment that he has done. Yes, but that's all. So don't get it confused whenever you're like, well, I'm seeing this, but they're saying XYZ. What I truly believe is that, so where it's stating like trillions of dollars, that's way more than this right here. What they're doing is they're combining the ownership of, like, let's just say they own, I'm going to use Walmart again. If Walton owns Walmart or Elon owns Tesla, like I said, Tesla, I technically could say Elon is a trillionaire. I could say he's worth 1 point some odd trillion dollars. But on a tax return or in other ways in different aspects, he really is not a trillionaire. His company is worth $1 trillion. He is not worth $1 trillion. I don't know how else to explain it because I feel like I just said the exact same thing. So sorry if I'm like confusing anybody. But like I was on YouTube, I think. And see how it says one family, $10 trillion. And they're talking about the Finks.
Do you know what's really fun? Making a website on Wix.
Hey, where? Take a moment and imagine you are the patriarch or matriarch in one of the world's most powerful families, heading to work each day to helm over $10 trillion in assets. Would you consider this a dream life, where you and your brood get to shape global markets, influence policy, and command unparalleled influence across industries and continents? Indeed, the weight of such immense power would be absolutely staggering. Each decision made by you and your family ripples through economies, alters the lives of millions, and sends waves of competitive pressure cascading through the world's elite circles. Yet, for the Fink family, this is not just a dream. It is their daily reality. And as the driving force behind one of the largest and most influential financial empires on the planet, the Finks wield an unparalleled level of influence and responsibility. Thus, in today's episode, we'll share the secrets of their saga, unveiling how they amass their extraordinary fortune, the mechanisms of their global impact, and the intricate dynamics that keep their empire at the forefront of the world stage as we describe the $10 trillion family that runs the world, the Finks. Larry Fink is the undisputed titan of finance, and as co-founder, chairman, and CEO of BlackRock,
working every day, having a kid, all I'm asking is for things to be a little bit easier. Kamala Harris is listening. Her plans bring down the cost of food and electricity. Kamala is focusing on things that matter, which means I can too.
Once in a lifetime is never enough.
Never enough.
For the ring finger?
For every finger.
For right now?
For the future.
For all the joy, the love, the warmth, the brilliance. For all that is beautiful in life.
For all the precious moments.
For anywhere.
Anywhere.
And everywhere. For all the right reasons.
Or just because.
Diamonds, diamonds, diamonds. For all who love. Pandora, lab-grown diamonds.
He's not just a player. He's the kingpin of the financial world. Forbes estimates his net worth at a cool $1.2 billion for 2024, but that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to his real influence. BlackRock, the behemoth asset manager he helms, is a colossal force, controlling a jaw-dropping 10.65 trillion. Yes, that's trillion with a T, in assets. And this mind-boggling figure is bolstered by an influx of cash into ETFs and fixed income products. Not to mention savvy acquisitions like Global Infrastructure Partners.
So he even just said it. He said he's worth $1.2 billion. However, he manages a company worth $10 trillion. So that's what I mean whenever I state that. So then this one's saying 20 trillion, and I thought it was a lot more than that, but maybe it is just maybe it is 20 trillion. I mean, it's still quite a lot of money, okay? Let's be for real. Like, also for real, that is the double the amount of BlackRock by itself. Okay, so let's see. Let's click this one because I've seen 500 trillion, but this is more accurate. I'm willing to listen.
To be free and flexible and creative was really essential to what I wanted to make, and I didn't find a platform that did that.
Imagine a towering tree rooted deeply in fertile soil, thriving under the sun. But beneath the surface, a parasitic vine coils around its roots, tightening its grip. Slowly, it drains the life from the tree, feeding off its strength, until what was once strong and flourishing becomes frail and weak. People often ask, who really controls the world? Whoever has the most money. And if you ask an ordinary person who has the most money, they would say Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, but that is incredibly wrong. On the conservative side, the Rothschild family is estimated to have a net worth of $1.2 trillion, 5 times more than Elon Musk. Some estimates even say that it could have a net worth of up to $20 trillion. To put that into perspective, the US GDP is $25 trillion. Everyone keeps asking, why is it that Israel has so much influence over the United States? And I keep saying, the Rothschilds own the United States. There's a quote that says, the Rothschilds have conquered the world more thoroughly, more cunningly, and much more lastingly than all the Caesars before them. As far back as the 1800s, they had a collective net worth of $6 billion. Today, they own dozens of super yachts. They own their own fleet of Boeing 747s, over 100 private jets, dozens of hotels, thousands of real estate properties, and these are like real old money mansions. They own stock exchanges, De Beers Diamonds, which owns 90% of all the diamonds in the world, Rio Tinto, the world's second largest mining company, crypto, oil companies, the Economist media company. They're responsible for over 70% of all the wine sold in Europe, and they are the official supplier of wine to the Vatican, 100% free of cost. But I would venture to ask if that has anything to do with the fact that the Vatican is the only bank in the world that is not required to be audited. That would definitely help hide some of your net worth. All these businesses together generate somewhere around $500 billion per year. But rewind. Whenever people tell this story, they take the position of, oh, the Rothschilds are objectively the bad guys in the story all the way through. But that's not at all the case. So at first, this guy could not have been in a worse situation. Meyer Rothschild found himself in as helpless as a situation as a child could possibly be in. Meyer was born in the mid-1700s on a street that was literally called Jew Street. Meyer grew up in a terrible area. So in Frankfurt, Jewish people were terribly segregated. They were forced into these cramped ghettos, stacked on top of each other in these huts. They had a small amount of areas of work that they were even allowed to participate in, and they were taxed disproportionately to everybody else in the community and could not leave the confines of this quote-unquote Jew Street for the majority of the week. So Meyer's the oldest of 3 boys. His parents own a small business where they're basically money exchangers, like, you know what the Forex market is today? And this was a pretty high in demand business because in this location, Frankfurt, which would eventually go on to be Germany, at the time it was called the Holy Roman Empire. It was divided up into 350 principalities, each with its own currency. So let's say you lived in Principality A. You wanted to go buy something in Principality B. You'd have to take your currency from Principality A and go exchange it for Principality B's currency so that you could make a purchase there. And Catholics, who are the majority of the population in this area, they're prohibited from what's called usury. Usury is lending money at interest. But Jews were not excluded from doing this. So obviously, any logical person who's in this terrible situation where you're excluded from the vast majority of normal ways to make a living and you're allowed uniquely to make money in this particular way where 90% of the population is not allowed to participate in it. Obviously, you're going to gravitate towards that. So fast forward, and boom, a massive epidemic of smallpox strikes the area, kills both of Meyer's parents. So he's 12 years old in this brutal living situation. Both of his parents die. He has 2 younger brothers to take care of. So after Meyer's parents die, drops out of school, moves to Hanover, which is a friendlier place towards the Jewish community, and he was given a small, sort of insignificant job that was almost looked at as like a charity job in the House of Oppenheimer's bank, friend of the family. And within 6 months, he actually makes a great impression on these people. He was made an apprentice. And after 5 or so years of working as an apprentice, he goes out on his own, starts his own business at age 18 as a rare coin specialist, somebody who buys and sells rare coins. And he is obsessed. He becomes an expert in everything from foreign trade, currency exchange, rare coins, bonds, everything finance. He's obsessively becoming an expert. Learn. So take a look at how ahead of his time this guy is. So he starts doing what you would call modern day copywriting. He starts a mail order log, and he obsesses over every last little detail of specific words, the headline, the font, the color. So he gets married, ends up having 10 kids, but get this, his wife gave birth 20 times. 10 out of the 20 kids did not make it. So he has 10 kids, wife gave birth 20 times. That's how they rolled back in the day. Today, women complain about having more than 2 kids. So by now, Meyer's pretty much gone from absolute poverty to a good middle-class income. But like most successful people, not at all content with that. So he's like, all right, I know what I have to do. Here's how I'm going to level up. Starts becoming obsessed with trying to get just an appointment, a conversation with this guy named Prince William of Hesse Castle. This guy's basically the richest person in the world at the time. And Meyer's absolutely obsessed with trying to contact this guy in any way, shape, or form. It's all he's thinking about. And one day, a very well-known military officer,
Wix gives you the freedom to tell your story. With a
strolls into Meyer's store, checking out the coins, chatting it up with Meyer, and he's blown away by how much this 18, 19-year-old kid knows about these rare coins. Like, this guy's a 40, 50-year-old guy and a lifelong coin collector, and he's blown away by how smart this kid is. So what do you know? This guy happens to be a trusted member of Prince William's inner circle. What do you think he did? I bet a lot of you are saying he made the ask right away, but nope, he didn't blow his load that fast. He played the long game. He just started slow and easy, chatting it up with the guy. The guy would come back now and then. Meyer would save special coins, the best of the best for this guy, give him deals, discounts. And after several encounters of giving just tier 1 customer service to the guy, making the guy fall in love with him as a business operator, Meyer finally eases into making the ask. And he says, hey, can you do me a solid? Would you be able to give a letter to Prince William next time you see him? And this marked a turning point for Meyer. Here is exactly what his letter said. Quote, I stand ready to exert all my energies and my entire fortune to serve you whenever it shall please you to command me. An especially powerful incentive to this end would be given to me if you would appoint me as your highness's court factor. I make this request with the utmost respect, as it would cause you no trouble and it would help me in so many ways. So a court factor is basically a money manager. So he was asking this guy, the prince, if he could have the honor of being his money manager. He says yes. So he starts off by doing limited business with him, handling limited amounts of transactions. But key thing, he was able to put a plaque over his business that stated that he had done business with royalty. To understand the significance of this, imagine, say, you start an online store where you sell cardboard boxes. You write a letter to Jeff Bezos saying you want to be the box provider for Amazon. He says yes, and you're able to put on your website, official partner of Amazon. That's the type of impact this would have had back in the day. So he makes this happen at age 25. So this is a big paradigm shift for the family. 10 years, Meyer goes from dirt poor orphan peasant to a business owner who does business with royalty. Nothing crazy yet. He's still middle class. But if Meyer was the engine of the family, his 5 sons would be the rocket fuel. So these 5 boys, they were born into a middle-class lifestyle, but by the time they were young adults, these guys were savages. Basically, out of the womb, they were wheeling and dealing, hustling, making deals, find a cheap wooden cart to buy for $1, sell it for $1.50, boom, 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 all day, flipping. And this is like teenagers I'm talking about, even maybe younger than teenagers, but they badly wanted this one thing. The family collectively had a very ambitious goal. They wanted to start handling state government bonds. You need to understand bonds to understand the power of Rothschild. So the way rich people look at things, they'd rather own a bond than own cash. To own a bond means you lent money to somebody. So if you have a ton of money, would you rather hold cash that doesn't collect interest or hold a bond that is collecting interest? But not all bonds are created equal. The handling of state government bonds was highly sought after because governments are the most likely borrowers to pay back their debts because they have a steady stream of income taxes. So these 5 teenage boys, they start begging the established bankers to let them be just the middlemen between them and Prince William. They were quoted as saying things like, "Oh, come on, let us just handle all these annoying inconveniences for you. It's just going to be hard work for us and taking the annoying stuff away from you. Just delegate, come on." So the bankers are like, "Okay, fine." They agreed to a small fee and considered just like grunt work. All right, yeah, sure. Well, these guys are sharp. We know that they're with Meyer. Meyer's good with nobility. He's one of Prince William's guys. So yeah, we'll trust him. We'll let them do these small things. No big deal. But the boys, they make a very good impression on Prince William. They were fast, competent, capable, boom, 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 no problems. Now remember, a simple money transfer back in the day consisted of taking physical objects from point A to point B. If these bankers wanted to give money to Prince William or Prince William wanted to take a withdrawal, make a deposit, it was a physical transaction where you had to carry said money, said deposit from point A to point B. So the 5 boys, they were able to do this faster, cheaper, more efficiently than banks were able to do. And they were doing this at such a cheap rate that they were barely making money. They were basically doing an audition to show how reliable they could be, how trustworthy they were. So by 1804, Meyer gets the opportunity of a lifetime. Denmark was bankrupt. Prince William, richest man in the world still, and he really wanted to give a loan to Denmark because having a kingdom is pretty safe collateral. Like I said, unless they, lose a war and become a different country, it's a pretty safe loan. The only problem with this was that the King of Denmark was Prince William's uncle, and he was embarrassed about having to take a loan, so he wanted to do this privately. He wanted to keep it on the DL. So by this time, the Rothschild boys, they'd built a significant amount of trust with Prince William, so he's like, "All right, boys, gotta keep this one on the DL. You're the smoothest money movers I've ever worked with, so can you get this thing done?" They're like, "Say less, we've got this thing." So this was the biggest money transaction from point A to point B that they've ever been entrusted to do before. And Meyer basically charges 0% interest. He literally charged enough just to not lose money. And like always, the execution was flawless. Fast, no problems, efficient, perfect in every way. Basically free for Prince William. Just remember, typically there's a transaction fee, a hefty one at that, but no transaction fee. Just enough to cover the expenses of moving the money, and done like professionals. Prince William, blown away. He was so impressed that he finally makes Meyer his primary money manager. Because what happened before, he makes him his court factor, but kind of kept him at arm's length. But after this, he became his guy. Any transaction he would do in the future, he would go with them. And oh my God, the big banks, furious. This would be like if a crypto startup became the primary bank for Elon Musk and took business away from JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs. They were basically a crypto startup. Unthinkable. But they did it. They were better. They moved faster. They were smoother. They were cheaper. And the banks just couldn't compete with it. It was not profitable to do so. They were too cumbersome. And why was Meyer willing to do this basically for free? Well, Meyer did say once, quote, "Let me control a nation's money, and I care not who writes the laws." And he was on the fast track to controlling the money of the nation. But this, of course, was just the tip of the iceberg for the grand vision that Meyer had. So one critical aspect of the Rothschild family, which is probably their biggest reason for their unmatched success, was that Meyer always emphasized unity over everything, especially as success increased. Never let greed get in the way of the family. And from a young age, he constantly imprinted this upon his boys. There's a story that one time when his 5 boys were very young, he brought them aside, handed them an arrow each, said, "See if you can break this arrow." Of course, they were all able to break the single arrow. Then he had a bundle of 5 arrows put together, passed it around the circle. None of them were able to break it. He said, "If you stay united, nobody can break you." And that lesson stuck with them because they had plenty of disagreements, but they never broke. They never became ununified. And that's something I greatly admire about this family, is they passed this lesson down in each generation clearly. And that's why they have trillions of dollars today. They never let outsiders have a serious role in the business. And Meyer always severely underreported his actual net worth and his actual earnings. He even kept a public balance sheet and a private balance sheet. So 300 years of fuzzy accounting, I would say that their true extent of their net worth, whatever you hear as a public number, potentially 5 to 10x that. So as the 5 boys reached adulthood, Meyer began deploying his sons to strategically important countries: England, France, Germany, Austria, and Italy. They set up their own banking operation in each country. And Meyer was so strategic that he decided which country to send each son to based on their personality. For example, Nathan, even though he wasn't the oldest, he was the most aggressive, boldest. They called him the general, his brothers did. Meyer sent him to London because It was the financial capital of the world, the harshest competition, the most to gain. The brother Solomon was the calmest, most graceful. He was sent to Austria because Austria was the most anti-Semitic out of all the large countries. They didn't even allow Jewish people to own a house in Austria. When they went on to get extremely rich, he actually rented out an entire hotel for himself because he wasn't allowed to own a house. Now, we're in the early 1800s, and the French Revolution's developing. Here's where it starts getting insane. In the next episode, you're going to discover the demonic forces that were really behind the French Revolution. And this guy Napoleon, who we're told was this conqueror or emperor, in reality, he was just a pawn being used by the real masters of the world. If you want to know the direction the series is going in, and the sources that I've used, and the books...
So that is kind of like how that is, and I know it's a YouTube video, it's not like an article or anything like that, but that is how I essentially end up getting a lot of information on most occasions, and it makes sense. Even us as people will buy, like, we do the same thing. We may not realize it, but and some people buy stupid stuff, but other people actually buy it. And when we buy an investment grade diamond or an investment grade bar of gold, we're doing the exact same thing. I want you to notice, he said the Rothschilds are the owners of the De Beers, which De Beers diamonds. Do you see the price? Oh, my phone. I just typed in it. I typed in De Beers diamond. De Beers diamond, that's the average price. It's about $11,000-$12,000 for one diamond. Okay? Average diamond. There's about 20,000 employees. Okay, so they were founded in 1888, and they had 20,000 employees. Let's see, let's just type in. They definitely have a monopoly that's like, duh. 35 different countries that they, mine from. And let's see here. Let's type in net worth. So you have to understand, he's a business owner. So what he did is he went to the diamond industry, and De Beers, their diamonds, I think it's like 70 to 90 percent of diamonds are from the De Beers company. I think Kay Jewelers actually is underneath. No, they are. Kay Jewelers, just about all the what is it? Jared's, all of them actually are under the De Beers company. I'm trying to see if I'm missing anything. But so essentially his net worth, he still has a net worth, but he just put it into a different business. If that makes any sense. And then he's still, like, that's still money that he owns. He's on it, because you have to understand, when you run a business, let's just say De Beers company is worth I don't know, let's just say 5 trillion right now. Okay. And it's got inventory of God knows how much. All of that inventory can actually be counted as an asset because it's something that's going to be sold. So you can count your balance sheet and then you can count the diamonds, or you cannot count the assets that you're selling and still buy it and then take insurance out on your diamond. So if anything gets lost or stolen, which is something that takes place in within companies, especially whenever you're dealing with diamonds and different things like that, they can essentially make their money back through the insurance company. Like, well, this got stolen, so we're going to get the money back here. Also with there's just several different aspects to that. Or you have that in your insurance backing the company, and you want to take a loan based off the assets, then you're able to take credit based off of that and live off of that if you want to, and then just have the company, as they sell the diamonds, pay off the credit and then take more and more credit and buy real estate. Because if you're buying real estate under the De Beers company, and you are technically the owner of the company, the property's not going to be under your name as the Rothschilds. It's going to be under the De Beers company, but you can go stay there whenever you get ready. So that's what they mean by hide money in a public and a private ledger. And then you also have gold and silver and stuff, physical metals and different things like that you can purchase. And in purchasing those things, that's the way you've got to look at it. So pretty much everyone's definitely talking about a crash that's going to happen within the United States. When that happens, there's going to be somebody that's going to be able to come to the rescue and make a business transaction deal. Anyways, I'm going to get off that subject. But that is how you operate. He said the De Beers, he had a wine industry. He said it supplies 70% of the wines. So those are all just different things you got to think about whenever you're talking about assets and different things of that nature. So probably once you look at every company, it probably would be close to about $500 trillion because they own all of these different companies or are major shareholders in these companies. So, and probably not directly with his name, because then that's personal assets. And yes, there may be a portion of it that he's given to himself, but the rest of it goes into probably the family office. Or leaves it within the company and manages it in a different way, in a different aspect. So, if there are 100 jets and private jets and, yachts, etc., and you get on the yacht and you continue life as you would, those are just all things to think about. Alright, this is going to be the end of this video because it's almost 40 minutes. Alright, bye-bye.